Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Monday Namaste experience.
Good morning.
Everybody excited?
Yes.
How could you not be excited when that experience itself begins to awaken within you and you realize, oh my gosh, this is it. This is the moment. I seem to have been waiting, but the moment was always there. The moment was always the moment. But now I recognize and I realize and I activate and I say yes to this moment. And that's all it ever took. This is the moment and I say yes to it. There's nothing else I need to do, nothing else I need to claim. Just the willingness to receive that which has always been offered. We were just talking a moment ago before the recording started about how here in Mexico, we have lots of reminders. We have roosters who crow all day and all night long, reminding us, wake up, wake up. Or the alarm clock that we set before we go to sleep, and we make a conscious decision, I'm going to wake up at this time. And then when the alarm clock goes off, we forget that, of course. We forget that we're the ones who set the alarm. We swear and we hit the snooze button and we go back to sleep. Well, the dream is over. The dream is ending. But still, we have the choice. We can choose to hit that snooze or we can get up. We can begin. We can activate and we can join. And that's what we're doing here. And as we join, as we come together, as we do here at Namaste Village, that awakening is strengthened within us. The yes is strengthened within us. The moment is strengthened within us. So this is a sacred moment. This is the moment that you chose. So don't hit the snooze button. Get ready. Here we go. So this week we're going to cover some real basic stuff. We're going to cover the beginning, the middle, and the end, because the basic stuff is always the foundation for the whole thing. And without the foundation, if we're not willing to allow the foundation to hold us firm and strong and stand there, rooted. If we're not able to do that, then we can't do everything that comes after that. We can't build a house without a strong foundation. Because when the winds come along or the storm begins to hit, it won't stand. But if we have a strong foundation and we hold to that foundation and we say, I'm going to focus here because everything else will come to me. Everything else will happen on its own if I hold true to this. So that's what we're going to talk about. And we're going to begin with a quote that I read yesterday from Joel Goldsmith. I've been offering a class here at Namaste over the last week on Joel Goldsmith's classic, The Infinite Way. We've been recording it here. I'm going to be sending out the videos in about a week or so to all of you dear beloveds who are part of our Namaste Angel program, who help to support some of our capital funding programs. We're going to send that out to you first, and then the rest of you. We'll get it sometime later. But anyway, let me read this real quick, because Joel, he begins with the 4 words, begin your spiritual life. Begin. Here's the beginning. You can't do much until you do this. Until you do this, the rest is just in your mind. It's just an illusion. It's the illusion of spiritual growth. How many of you can relate to that? How many of you have experienced, well, I thought I was growing spiritually, but in reality, it was just really an illusion because I wasn't doing the basics. I wasn't building a foundation. If you want to have a strong foundation, here's what you need to do. It says, begin your spiritual life with the understanding that all conflicts must be settled within your consciousness. All conflicts must be settled within your consciousness, not out here, not in another person, not in trying to change anything, not in pointing to another person and saying, well, this is what they did, or this is what they failed to do. Because as soon as we do that, we've lost the plot. As soon as we do that, and it has nothing to do with what that person has done or said. You may even be right. You may even be right about it. Maybe that person did say something.
That. Could you try again?
Okay. You see, even Siri wants to be enlightened. I don't know what part of it she didn't get. It's so simple. Come on, Siri, get with it. I didn't get that. Can you repeat it? Sure. Okay, let me repeat it. The moment it doesn't matter if the person that we think is outside of us or that we believe did something to, it doesn't matter if we're right. Once again, he says, begin your spiritual life with the understanding that all conflicts must be settled within your consciousness, not by trying to move things around or be right about a situation. That's when you lose it. That's hitting the snooze button. That's saying, I'm going to stay awake, asleep rather. I'm not going to wake up to see what I could do to be truly helpful. Because the thing that I could do in a situation where there is a conflict seeming between two people, the most positive thing I can do is to take full responsibility for all of my reactions and don't point at all. That's where the miracle happens. Because to point at the other person and say, well, that person did this or that person said that, even if they did, even if that's what I perceived, still the challenge is to take full responsibility. Nothing can happen until then. And it's your choice, really. If you want just to stay in the dream and try and solve all the problems of all the people who are going to annoy you, because it will be a huge number. If you want, you can try and solve them one at a time, and you'll be here for a long time. You're going to be here for another 1,800 lifetimes. Or you can make a blanket decision. Everything I experience is in my consciousness. It has nothing to do with what's happening outside. That same person can be saying something to me or do something to me. And if I take responsibility for it, I am unshakable. My peace is unchallengeable. And I've only gotten to the first sentence. Let's read that sentence again. Begin your spiritual journey with the understanding that all conflicts must be settled within your consciousness. There is never a conflict with a person or a condition. There is never a conflict with a person or a condition, but rather a false concept mentally entertained about a person, a thing, a circumstance, or a condition. That's interesting. A false concept mentally entertained about that person. I've chosen to engage with them on a level where there is no solution. Literally, there is no solution. It's going to end up who can win the battle. This is saying there's another way. And this is what every illumined teacher has said. You have to begin at the beginning. There is literally no other person out there to challenge this. It is your projection. And you will defend your projection. You will not step back from that until you do. Until you get this, until you realize that I've done it 1,000 times, it never worked. There's still more people to annoy me. Oh my God, it never ends if I'm trying to solve it out here. But the moment I say, there is no out here, there is no other, there is only the projection of my own consciousness. And I'm literally looking for situations or people or that come into a resonant frequency with where I am. Now I can be right. Now I can be the one instead of being the one. You know, this really is quite simple. It's far more complicated trying to solve the problem out here, trying to think that anyone else is doing anything to me. It's far simpler and much more effective to say, everything I experience is my own creation. I can choose it or I can choose again. Okay. There is never a conflict with a person or a condition, but rather a false concept mentally entertained about a person, a thing, a circumstance, or a condition. Therefore, make the correction within yourself. Make the correction within yourself, rather than attempting to change anyone or anything outside. That's all I wanted to read. It's about 3 or 4 sentences. We don't need more than that because he puts it so clear. Never attempt to make the correction anywhere but within yourself. Now, here's the beauty of that. Here's the miracle of that. When you do that, guess what happens? It changes on its own. Isn't that beautiful? This is a self-correcting system. When you choose to take full responsibility, and I'm not talking about just full responsibility for a conflict that you perceive with another person, another circumstance, another situation. I'm talking ultimately, and I want Teddy and Vicky to talk about this. Ultimately, it's about taking full responsibility for everything. Now, I've had a lot of people come up to me when they've heard things like that and saying, I'm not going to take full responsibility for Hitler. I'm not going to take full responsibility for this situation or that situation. Well, then, okay, enjoy, because you're going to be stuck here. But love and forgiveness has to be for all. You can't pick and choose. Now, when I say take full responsibility, it doesn't mean that you're fully responsible. It doesn't mean that you, in your individual consciousness, it doesn't mean that you committed the atrocities of the Holocaust. But what it does mean is that those are in your mind. And therefore, it can only be healed there. Projecting it out from the smallest situation to the biggest is only going to keep it out here. And this is the decision that you made, the desire that you had to never deal with it where it really is, within you. The moment you take it in and do what Joel says here, take full responsibility, the situation will change on its own. And I know that we've all had practical experience with this. We've all experienced this in one way or another. The real question now is, do you want to experience only that?
I'm responsible for my state of mind.
Always. I'm always responsible for my state of mind in any situation. I cannot be shaken from that. I cannot be moved from that, from a little ant. Because literally the situations that we choose to try and disprove this, you see, the situations we use to try and disprove what you just heard are like little ants, meaningless. And yet they can change your life. They can throw you into hell and you don't even realize you're there. But that's what hell is. I'm right about this. That person did this and this, and maybe they did. This is not to deny what is happening. It's about taking full responsibility for my reaction. Because until I do that, I am in hell. But I can change it like this. It's a full responsibility. I don't know if we're going to talk about that all week, but we might. Because it's such a simple lesson, but it is perhaps the most difficult lesson for all of us. Because we so want there to be a solution in changing what's outside me. Did you hear that? To change what seems to be outside me. I think that that's where my solution is. It's not. It never has been. It never will be. Because the moment you do succeed at changing it, guess what? Boom, 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 boom. It shows up 10 other places until you take full responsibility. Okay, so Victoria and Theodore, Vicky and Teddy.
Good morning,
Then
brother.
we're going to go to Calico. I see she's got her hand up, but I want to start with you guys because I know this has got a lot of juice to it.
Okay. Well, I just have to say one thing about the sounds and the celebrations of Mexico and Ajijic. I see them as heaven bursting open, slipping through the cracks, just for the record. I just wanted to mention that. But thanks for starting at the beginning. It's the new year. The beginning has to be 100%, as Joel said, with us. The gift of the Course in Miracles was the how-to of that. The gift of the Course was really taking that and expanding on it in a very simple way. Jesus says, what isn't love is murder. We want to know what we're responsible for about Hitler. Who are we murdering in our responses, in our own thought? Everything is either love or murder, love or hate, every response. That's a radical statement, but Jesus says it many times in the Course. Joel doesn't quite say it that way, but this is what he's saying. If we are totally responsible for what we are seeing outside of us, the government, the conditions of the earth, everything, where in our mind are we in this moment now? That's why it comes back to now. What is my response now? Where is there even the smallest judgment now? Let me take a look at that. Let me be willing to be open that there's got to be a better way. And of course, the bridge that Jesus delivers in 3 dimensions is the Holy Spirit. We have a bridge for help. His help, each other's help, in remembering that we share not a reality of form, but a reality of essence. And that if our responses are eternal, if we're eternally minded and aware of essence, our responses will be of essence. They won't be of judgment. If we're concerned with the form and we want to respond to that, every response that isn't open, welcoming, and loving is there somewhere a response of self-hatred. And that's where the correction has to take place. Everything that we see outside of ourselves is an outpicturing of our inner state. And our inner state is either one of holy essence or one of self-condemnation. That's why take every opportunity, and every moment of now is that opportunity. If we're going to do this back to basics, it's a practice of being very aware right now. Where is my judgment? And it isn't, I can't get rid of it. I've never gotten rid of any judgment. I wouldn't know how. But I do know how to recognize, oh, whoa, this is a big judgment. Help me with this. I know how to turn to help. And that's what we're asked to do. Turn to the bridge, to the help, to the comforter. Turn to the holiness within us and say, you know, I'm going to drop the thought like a hot potato. I'm going to stop, drop, and pray here. I'm not going to hold on to it. I'm not going to support it with more projecting self-hatred. I'm going to be aware of it, take responsibility, and back to, but I don't know what to do with it. Help me. Here I am. I'm putting all my attention on what Joel calls eternality. Putting all my attention on what's eternal. My brother Hitler is the Christ. My brother Donald Trump is the Christ. Just like my brother James is the Christ. We are one in Christ consciousness. We are one in our eternality. Let me put and I am one in that. Let me put my attention on the holiness in myself. Even if I don't know it, understand it, or think I experience it, I can turn in that direction and say, what does this mean? Rather than support my real my belief in whatever the judgment or projection is. It starts with the littlest thought. So if we're going to start now, we have to start now by welcoming and enjoying everything. Really enjoying the essence that we may not yet see, but will surely see and experience if we turn within for interpretation rather than outside of ourselves for interpretation. So it's ending external verification and opening to internal radiance. It is that simple, and we can do it. And we are a family of light that are doing that every day more and more. We are helping each other. Every judgment that any one of us puts down, because we share one mind, all of us are supported in putting that down. The ego's thought system is weakened when any one of us chooses to focus on our holiness and on the love that we are, even though we don't understand it yet. Just don't be supporting in my mind. Just don't be, and this is what ego thinking is. It loops and keeps supporting the thinking of being right or why they're wrong or any of that. Just drop it like a hot potato. Forget about it. Pay
Yeah.
it no mind.
Drop it like a hot potato. I love that. It keeps coming back to that. Pay it no mind. Just even if all the evidence supports my conclusion that I'm right about it, doggone it, everyone agrees with me, right? You guys agree with me?
Right.
Ooh, maybe not. Thank you so much, Vicky. Teddy, what would you like to say about it? But this must, by the way, be stirring a lot because I've got a lot of people raising their hands. So we'll see who we can get to here. But Teddy, let's start with you.
So when my awakening began, it began with Jesus telling me, you're doing this to yourself. And my question was, all of it? And from the beginning to the end of space and time, I was doing everything to myself. And that requires, how do I say this? And what Joel was saying is, we need to be willing to accept responsibility. The willingness to accept responsibility doesn't mean we know we're responsible, doesn't mean we know how we're responsible. It just means we're willing. Now, since everything outside of us is a projection of our mind, nothing changes without our mind changing. And it doesn't change because we shift chairs on the Titanic. It changes because what Vicky was saying, we don't know how to deal with it and we need help. And when we ask for help, we get shown. The joy of being totally responsible means that nothing anywhere is holding us in the condition that we're in except ourselves. And if we got ourselves into that condition, it's senseless to try to get ourselves out of that condition without some help. And that's where we turn to the Holy Spirit for the help. And the help comes in any way that we're ready for it to come until the help is total and we see it all as an illusion and we experience ourselves as who we are as God created us. And then we understand that everyone is exactly as God created them because none of this is real. It's all an illusion and it's all a projection. And we don't have to project, we can extend, as Vicky was talking. And what we extend is the willingness to be responsible and the love that we receive in the experience of being responsible, because what happens in that responsibility is the allowance for who we are for us to be also responsible for. Total responsibility is what freedom is. Total responsibility is what freedom is.
Ding, ding, ding. Well, yeah, thank you. That's it. That's what freedom is. Calico, would love to hear what you'd like to share.
I love this session. I love it. Go all week with it is what I say. And James, I must say, we must be drinking the same water. I've been deep download for a couple of days now. And it's all about this very thing that we're talking about. And it actually, Eliza came over and we were chatting about it at breakfast. It's, it takes complete honesty, and not in the honesty of the world, like, I didn't give the proper change to the person or whatever. It's honesty with how I'm feeling now, right now. Where's my judgment? And this, once you get the judgment, that's game on. That's game on. Because then I have something to work with. If I'm just projecting it out there, pushing it all out there, it's Hitler's problem, it's, German's problem, whatever, I'm stuck. I'm dead in the water. And it's really taking it on. No, I really do dislike, Hitler. And I have to say for myself personally, my mind training began with cancer, and I am so grateful for it. I am so eternally grateful for cancer, because it pushed me to my limit. I had to do something, and they told me there's nothing we can do for you. So it was like, okay, well, X that off, there's no answer for this. But the Course gives us all the answers. And the Course, I swear to God, I'm reading it like the first time. I've never seen it before, because it talks about brain and mind. We are all operating at this rudimentary level of our brain. And if you go into the Course, it talks about brain 4 times, and none of it's positive. None of it's positive. It's like, you have to see your brain is bent on giving you the problem, and that you judge it, and that's where you live, in just judgment, reaction, judgment, reaction, judgment, reaction. Once you start in the Course, I'm so grateful to the Course, I cannot tell you. Once you start seeing this, there's another way to see everything. And it's through love. It's through God's eyes, God's nose, God's ears, God's tongue, all of it. So no matter what's coming at me is God. Now I may have a reaction to it, but that's me and my rudimentary brain fighting with itself again. And so I've got to get beyond all of it. And Vicky says it all the time, give it no mind. Well, it's really give it no brain. Go to God's mind. It's like God has the answer, and the only answer is ever love. That's all it is. But I don't go there automatically. I have to deal with these little tiny judgments that are occurring all the time. And I push them away, or I say, well, that's not my problem. That's their problem, whatever. And it's like, no, own it. Full responsibility, full honesty, and take it on. It's a game. It's a total game. And I must say, working on Bebot right now, because Laverne and I are diving deep, man, into how we put together stories, how we respond to our world through our history of stories, and separating those out in this moment of now of, well, why am I upset about the dogs barking? Why am I upset about getting cancer? All of it needs to be cleaned through love. And it's like, and that's where the Course just takes it to this next level of it's all yours. You're 100% responsible for it. I mean, I came out of a community that had no private thoughts. So you had to share all of those icky thoughts that no one wants to own. Nobody wants to own them. You know, I didn't want to admit that I really hated angry men, but it's like once I started that process, I was able to pull out all these hooks that came up to this whole automatic reaction to angry men. And it's the clearing is profound. And there was someone else at the table that he had a friend with cancer and he wanted him to call me. Well, you see, that won't work because this is a personal thing. I have to own it. I can't do that for anybody else, ever. And so it's like, I only work with people that can contact me. They're ready to hear whatever it is that we need to join with. And he was saying, you know, I said, you know, the reality is you see cancer as something broken and wrong over there. And I'm saying that's the clearing right there. You've got to own that you're seeing something is broken. Like I said, cancer was the greatest thing that ever happened to me because I then got, oh, I'm creating this. I'm not just creating it for me, I'm creating it for everyone out of my fear of it. And I have to turn this around to see it as the greatest gift that I ever gave myself, because it then gives me an opportunity to go deeper into this whole conversation. So I could go on, because again, I've been getting downloads and we're drinking the same water. And I mean, brother, keep this. This is the topic I want to talk about. Yeah.
I'm with you, sister. Okay, we'll keep rolling with it. Because once we get this, the rest of it falls into place by itself. Once we take full responsibility, everything else is easy. And that's the funny thing about it, is that we think that that's the hardest part. No, I mean, once we do it, once we actually take full responsibility, that's when it starts to get very simple. Until then, it's very hard. So Eliza, you had that conversation with Calico this morning. What do you want to share around that?
You know, we just dove deep and we come at it from a little bit different place, but really what you just said, once you find a way to take full responsibility, it's like surrender. The surrender is the hardest thing to do until you do it. And then when you do it, it's like, ah. So two things came to mind. One was, you know, you can start preaching, but there's a fine line between meddling. Right? It's like we can hear it and then something touches and it feels like it's meddling, but that's the exact thing we need to look at. That's the exact thing we need to be in and to stand in. So full responsibility. Love is love and the rest are choices or consequences. If it's not love, I hadn't heard it the way Vicky had said it before. I'd heard, you know, if it's not love, it's fear or it's absence. But if it's not love, it's not truth. It's just simply in us. And if we can go back in and look and see and tell the truth and go all the way back, like Calico and I were talking about the dogs barking. It's like, I just want peace. Well, that's elusive. I don't like the dogs barking. That's specific. Once you see that, feel it, hear it, then you can dismantle it. So there's so much. Yeah, we can dive deep. And I know we're running a little bit long here. So take a look, take a breath, stop. Vicky said, stop, drop, and pray. I say stop, drop, and roll. Talked about it yesterday in service. Just stop and interrupt the pattern and look within. And what's more true? What's more true?
Yeah.
Would I rather be right or would I rather be happy?
Yeah.
So much of us, we still want to be right, don't we?
Oh, gosh, yes.
Oh my gosh, we still want to be right. But what if we were happy?
Well, I love what you're all saying. The moment you feel the projection, stop. It's that simple. The instant you feel yourself projecting onto another person or a situation or a condition, stop, hold still, Ask for guidance, ask for help. The help will come, but it can't come if you're still actively engaged in the projection. So stop, drop, roll, pray, whatever you want to do after you stop and drop is fine. But stop. And we have to become attuned to when we do it, because we're so used to doing it. It is such a part of the egoic operating system that we don't even realize when we're doing it. So become more sensitive to when you are projecting, when you are judging, when you are holding out. Everybody wants to talk today. We still have 2 people up here. And so did you have something really quick, Amrit?
Yes, the lesson of the day.
The lesson of the day.
Perceive my own best.
I do not perceive my own best interest. My own best interest. Oh. Within the egoic system, we can't. It's impossible. I'm always going to see my worst interest and misperceive it as my best. Ah, thank you. So, George, real quick, what do you want to share?
Back in 1984, I joined a program that was based on the Course in Miracles. And my teacher, there's 2 things that happened. She said to me, "Do you want value out of this program?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "Good, I want you to take responsibility for everything that happens around you." And I was like, "What? I can't, what do you mean by that?" And I left the next day, or left that afternoon, and a fire truck comes by my car. And I'm like, okay, I'm responsible for that. That was the beginning of my training in all of this. And the second thing was, we did a session where all of the people that were in the group sat down with people like me in front of you. And we had to say to that person, something I don't like about you is, and then another person, and God, for us to sit there and say that and see how we were projecting onto the other person was scary, but yet very uplifting. And it was the beginning of the process that I went through.
Well, that's why Joel says, begin your spiritual journey with this. This is where you begin. This is not in the middle. This is not like the final step. This is the first step. This is the first thing you have to do if you want to be free. Alice, go right ahead.
Yes, I'm thinking about that lesson. I'm not the victim of the world I see. Either we're victims or creators. And I can choose to be a victim, or I can choose to create my own life and take responsibility for it. And also ask for help. So all we have to do is say, a little more love, please. A little more love, please. I need a little bit more love. Download that. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
I may need to write a song about that. A little more love, please. A little more love, please. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Let's just keep rolling with this, because it's so subtle, it's so simple, and yet it's also so true. This is the beginning, the middle, and the end. My willingness to take full responsibility for everything I experience. This is where I begin to cut the ties and remove the chains that have locked me in this illusory world, believing that it's real, believing that the effects are true, believing all these things that when I lift above it all, I realize never were true. I'm free the instant I choose to be free. The instant I choose to take full responsibility, my wings begin to spread and I begin to fly. But not until then. That's the key. That's the beginning, the middle, and the end. So everyone, thank you. What a great way to start off our Monday. So we'll just keep rolling with this. Vicky, Teddy, Calico, Alice, George, Liza, Amrit, everyone, thank you so much. We're so blessed. Do you feel that? How blessed we are to be able to come together and get right into it on a Monday morning? Couldn't we warm up? Couldn't we? No. We're diving in, baby. All right, let me go ahead and we're going to do the final prayer, the prayer of protection. This is where it all comes together. So let's go ahead and share this together. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Amen. Namaste, everyone.
Namaste.
Namaste.